Becoming good on guitar is easy. Yes, hello and welcome to another video with me, Elmo Karjalainen. It's good to have you along. Today I'm discussing how you can get good on guitar, and it's remarkably easy. It won't happen overnight, you will have to put in some effort, but it's not difficult to see remarkable improvements in your playing if you do the things that I'm going to talk about in this video. Now, the first thing is something that nearly destroyed my progress when I was starting out, and it was the fact that I was playing stuff that I didn't really want to play, and that was because of my teacher. He meant well, but didn't get it right, and I've seen this in a bunch of my students. They play stuff that they don't want to play and end up being frustrated and quitting. And so, point number one, just have fun. Play what you like. Point number two, we'll go through this fast because it really is quite simple. Point number two, a lot of people spend a lot of time worrying about what they should play. You know what? That doesn't matter. I think if it's fun, that's good. What you should worry more about is how you practice instead of what you practice. Keep that in mind. It doesn't matter too much what you practice as long as it's fun, which means that it's kind of something that you want to play and that you practice it properly. More on that later. Number three, and this has to do with fun, have some goals. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything difficult. I mean, who are your idols? Try to learn to play like them. Don't worry if it seems too difficult, because your idol, well, the way it worked for me was that it was unattainable. Gary Moore, Yngwie Malmsteen, Steve Vai, those kinds. And that seemed like absolutely I'll never get there. And I probably didn't. But that's not the point. If you take your goal as being way up there, it can be that you will be daunted by the task and you won't reach your goal. But the thing is, it's just like a destination. And it becomes, you get small goals to reach that destination. And it becomes like a ladder. And it's really simple. You do one step at a time. And the goals make sure that you're not learning stuff that's not connected to each other in any way. So, for instance, you're learning to play jazz. It might not make sense if you've learned to play, let's say, E major 9, like I just did, to next start doing. Those things are in no way really connected. So, have goals and break them down into smaller goals. Number 4. Is it better to practice 5 hours on a Saturday or 10 minutes every day? Absolutely, it's better to practice every day because it works like compound interest. If you don't know what compound interest is, it's when you get an interest rate on something. Let's say you have $1 in the bank, you get an interest rate on that, and then you have more than $1. And then you get interest. If you keep that $1 and what you've gotten in interest, you keep that in the bank, you get more interest. And it doesn't work quickly at all. So, in a month, you would have, if you get 1% interest on that $1, you get, in a month, you get $1.3, or you have $1.3. It takes a while to get going, but in a year, you would have over $37, which is, considering the comparison of to $1, it's a huge amount. Now, learning a skill, when you do consecutive days consistently, it compounds. You learn so much faster. Oh, and consistency doesn't have to be difficult. It turns into a habit. Start small. Maybe even just 2 minutes a day. Build that up to 5 minutes. Build that up to 10 minutes. You will see great results. And make it easy so the guitar is visible. You have everything set up ready to go. You just turn on the power. If you or if you're playing acoustic, you don't even need power. You just pick up the guitar and do whatever it is that you do. Besides, it's really tough going to practice 5 hours and doing what's next. Focus. I feel this is more of a problem nowadays than back when I was a kid, because you have mobile phones and you get notifications all the time, and people are so stuck to their phones, even I sometimes am guilty of that this is more of a problem now. But when you focus or when you play, try to focus so that you turn off your phone or put it in flight mode, or at least quiet and somewhere where you don't see it. If you have to use a metronome from it, turn it into flight mode and just use a metronome. Because if you don't focus, you won't see good results. Tell your family to please leave you alone while you're practicing. Close the door if you live at home with your parents. If you have kids, good luck. Number 6, wouldn't it be brilliant if you could get added motivation? At least I get lots of motivation when I notice that I've improved. But that can be a bit difficult, because over time you don't really notice stuff. But there is almost a magic way to do that. Measure your progress. Either if you're going for speed, use a metronome. Most stuff while playing is not something to do with speed. So record yourself. Film yourself. You will see improvements, and that will give you added motivation, and you might notice that your consistency, or let's say your consistent practice of, let's say, 15 minutes turns into 20 minutes because you're enthusiastic, because you've learned, you've progressed. And when you measure your progress, push your limits, learn something new. Don't just sit around and noodle the same old things. Number 7, do you have gas? No, I don't mean anything to do with your bowels. I mean GAS, gear acquisition syndrome, where you spend hours upon hours searching for gear online or in shops, I don't know, especially online, when it's not the gear, it's you. You play, the gear does not play. You practice, the gear does not practice. You need some gear to practice, but provided that it's relatively comfortable, sounds relatively good, you should be able to practice on it. It seems to me that a lot of people spend more time worrying about their gear than actually practicing. Don't worry about the gear. If you practice and you get good, you will be good on pretty much anything. So what happens when you hit a brick wall, well, a proverbial brick wall, and you get really frustrated? You don't see any improvement, because that will happen as well. It's called, frustration. And it happens to everyone. But nothing happens to you when you're frustrated. You don't notice that you suddenly have leprosy. It's just frustration. I deal with it by cursing a lot. Deal with it somehow. Put down your instrument and have a cup of tea or coffee or whatever. Swear, go for a run, I don't know, lift some weights, whatever. The thing is, come back to your instrument. You will have moments of frustration, but the good guitar players out there have learned to deal with their frustrations. Now someone might be asking, well, what about becoming truly great? Well, becoming good is one thing. Becoming great requires a whole lot more. That's when you need to start putting in serious hours. But the great thing is, this whole becoming good works as a pathway to that, because you can't start off practicing when you're a beginner by practicing 6 hours a day. It's just impossible to focus that much. Learning how to practice, or practicing itself, is a skill that you need to learn, and you need to start slow. Like with everything, baby steps. Okay, some people do learn to run before they will learn to walk, but that's a different thing. So, becoming great, there are no shortcuts. Becoming good is a shorter road, but really there are no shortcuts as such to that either. But this, if you do what I said in this video, I guarantee you, you will see results, and you will, over time, become good. And why is it easy? Because when you practice consistently, you focus, you measure your progress, you will see improvements, and that will make it fun. And when it's fun, it's easy. How good will you become? That depends. We're all different. We cannot all become the best in the world, but we can all become a lot better. If you want to check out more lessons, there's a playlist here. Also, if you want more detailed lessons, my whole guitar academy, there's a link to my Patreon in the description. You get access to not only my lessons, bunch of exclusives like ad-free videos, YouTube videos, and all of my music. That supports this channel and I would greatly appreciate it. There are other ways to support the channel in the description as well. But above all, I hope that you find this video useful. And also I hope that you try these things that I talked about in the video, give it a couple of months, come back and leave a comment. Did it work? Because I'm absolutely certain that you will see improvement. I hope you have a nice day. Take care. See you. Goodbye.